this webinar is going to be about partnership. And before we really dive into the subject of partnership and how we got to where we are today, I wanted to ask you guys, what in your opinion, what partnership is about? What do you think, Golan?
From my perspective, the things that I learn from partnership, if it's personal or if it's technology, whatever business partnership start with communication, not start, but it have to hold pillars like communication, understanding, and support. If you have those three, you're good to go. It's guarantee a good partnership. So I think
You sounds like my wife. That's what she says about our partnership.
so you have a good partnership in any kind of weather.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you have to weather that. Noor, what about
I
you? You
agree.
agree?
Absolutely. Golan. It starts with the people, I find, right? And it generally is about the people. Um, and we've seen that, and we're gonna, I think, explore more of that throughout the webinar. But one of the things that we talk about, at least from an AWS lens relative to partnership, is that we scale through partners, right? And we heavily rely on our partner superpowers, and together, and this is really important, together we work backwards from what our customers need and how we can mutually benefit them. And I think that's really key. And I think it goes into the communication aspect of what you're saying. And I believe we've so far had a fantastic journey together, and so I really look forward to the rest of this webinar to kind of dive more into that part.
Great. So I think we have quite a few participants now. So maybe that's the time we actually start the webinar officially. I find myself in a position that I'm not used to. Normally, I'm one of the on the panel, but today I will be moderating this webinar, but also participate. So let me do the introductions. I'm Michael Demb, VP of Product Strategy for TAG Video Systems. I've been with the company over 3 years now. Actually, my 3 years is exactly this week. And been trying to bring the company to the next level, building the future products and the future solutions for our customers. And you probably have seen some of the results of this work in our recent releases and the recent technologies that we introduced. Together with me, we have Golan Simani, who is our Director of Cloud and Cloud Operations and Engineering. Very knowledgeable in everything cloud and has worked and built solutions on the cloud and lots of different cloud platforms. But yeah, we all know that there are other platforms other than Amazon. Sorry, Noor, but let me introduce Noor as well. Noor is the worldwide partner solution architect for media and entertainment at AWS, and she has been a very helpful to this partnership, to build a partnership and help us in this journey. And I think we want to talk about the journey that we have done as a company and as two partners together, two companies, a vendor in media and entertainment, building solutions for customers to use in their workflows, and also the cloud provider as Amazon. We know that it's a key vendor in our industry, very important to every company that provides video today for either broadcasting, production, or streaming. So this webinar is going to be about how TAG worked with Amazon to transform from on-prem software-based solution to cloud-friendly, cloud-native, and really integrate DevOps approaches in everything we do every day. So my first question to Golan and Noor will be, if you can really talk about what was the initial triggers for us to do this move. Golan, you've been here way longer than I am. So maybe you can talk about how this all started and what was the moment that TAG had to say, okay, we're going to have to start transforming because the industry is transforming.
Well, first of all, I want to say hello to everyone. I see that there is quite a lot of people coming from all over the world. There is people from Geneva, from Denmark, from Spain, from US. And there isn't even a guy named Ian that mentioned Peter Walton. And it's very hard to start this webinar without mentioning Peter Walton. For those guys who doesn't know who this guy was, Peter Walton passed away, I think, 2 years ago, and he was one of the more the cloud visionary. He was ahead of time in everything, so he had lots of vision that he wanted to take TAG to those places. Back in that time, we didn't, and the industry there was not prepared, was not ready for those great ideas and innovation. There is the old industry in the world working in the cloud or using cloud capabilities for various operations. But in the broadcast industry, the adoption of the adopted cloud not that fast as the rest of the world. And you ask why now? Because now I think after few years that we went through this journey, both TAG and the industry came to a point that we use the cloud more and more. Our customers use the cloud more and more. They use different technologies and use infrastructure as a code more and more. The needs, the requirement to spin up and down according to the needs, and control the budget or spread the budget between capex and opex. And so basically, the skills are there, the infrastructures are there, the customer are more ready. And today, after we've been through this journey and came to where we are now, where we understand what is the partnership, what partnership is, and how it helps us to grow. That's why we're here today. And I think many of the stories that we will try to share with you guys in one point will help you to understand how we grow with AWS as partners.
Agreed, 100%. We hear this from our customers, and to quote a few, what they tell us is, for example, we own more rights than we have the ability to produce, and the cost prohibits the production, and so we need a better ways to execute that production. And then, some other customers tell us we want our productions to follow the sun, where we can reuse staff on different events as the sun moves across zones, which indicates a few things tying to you, Golan. Customers want to do more with less, right? They have so much content that they want to produce. And the way that users or viewers are consuming content has evolved significantly. And so our customers are looking for better ways, not only to do the production, but to enable their viewers. If you think about it, especially with newer generations, I think the line between things like regular viewership or streaming, and then the aspects of gaming, or watching, for example, concerts as part of gaming, has become a reality. Or, for example, consuming news through social media is now a thing, right? And so how do we enable customers to very quickly adapt and be agile to ensure that their viewers are getting what they need? And I feel at the heart of it are concepts that we're going to talk about today, which TAG very strongly adopted, are DevOps and obviously observability.
Yeah, and it's not only what they want to consume and how they want to consume, but it's also at what quality they want to consume and at what latency they want to consume. There's a lot of technicality in those that are driving who is going to win the race, who is going to have more consumers on their content, and bringing the right content as well. So all this. And since TAG is monitoring and quality assurance company, um, I want to look at this from the lens of, quality of video and what was important back then. So Golan, maybe if you can say a few words about what was the one thing that really we saw and said, okay, yeah, we gotta improve how agile we are, for example, or we gotta improve how our products can be deployed in different deployment methodologies that we have. Was there something like a trigger that says, okay, we're gonna go and work with Amazon to do those together?
Okay, I can't answer in one go because there was very different points that led us to understanding that we need to grow. We need to improve our tools, our processes in a way that we can meet a customer's requirement and do it in the same time that they wanted to deploy or go live. I'll give you one example. I gave you more than one. I'll try to focus only on one. So I think it was 2 years ago that we bumped into. We had a customer that wanted to use TAG, but there was some bureaucracy and some legal part that was a blocker, kind of a blocker. And there was a deadline that they wanted to go live. If they will go to the on-premise CapEx path, they will need to buy servers, they need to run tests, and it would take them more time than they needed. They had 9 months, and we needed to support this operation. So we offered them to be under our account. We took them and we built their environment. So that made the whole process more efficient. They can easily create the environment, test it, improve it, and by 9 months they could go live. And they went live for this season of the sports event, and everything was good. During that time, and that touches a bit of the partnership. During that time, we needed to improve, to optimize the infrastructure that we built for them. So we need some professional advisors. Luckily, we had AWS to support us, and they gave us, small inputs that improved dramatically the workflow. That was one point that we started to think more on cloud, of how we can improve our processes and do it, make it better to the customer. But we did understand that if you want to go to live using cloud, using AWS, it's much faster. So to your point, what made us, this is one thing. So it's when we work with the customer in their production environment, supporting them, understanding their needs more in depth, we adopt and we developed our processes accordingly to meet those requirements. This was one thing.
So we went through basically an on-prem server-based solution to really quickly offering something like, I don't know, maybe we should call it like an application as a service. It wasn't SaaS solution, but it was like an application. Here we take the complete responsibility for everything for this client, and then slowly peeling the onion and moving it into their environment and moving the responsibility. But this migration from software server-based to cloud native and using cloud services was really fast. So that's do you have any other good examples, Noor, that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to how TAG, I would say, I remember in the early days kind of approaching it, it started, what we call the lift and shift. And this is a perfectly valid, let's say, method of migration when, to Golan's point,
Yeah.
a customer is dealing with a tight timeline. Because you already know how everything works in your application. There is no kind of immediate reason to modernize or re-architect. And so it started by moving the applications and then leveraging the aspect of the cloud where we remove undifferentiated heavy lifting of managing infrastructure. And so you can test, you can spin things up, spin them down, and go quickly around that, away from, let's say, procurement times and racking and stacking and wiring and all these things. But then very quickly, what happened is that TAG realized that yes, kind of lifting and shifting works in particular scenarios, but there's so much more that you can explore by modernizing the architecture and the application and kind of reducing that maybe line between, IT, which has traditionally used a lot of these tools, and broadcast. And I would say that journey for TAG has been quite fast, which is really fantastic.
Just like everything we do in TAG, we're really trying to deliver features and functionality really fast to our customers. So, Golan, so we started talking about the transformation and some of the challenges that we had. Noor mentioned a few of those. Probably, lowering the cost to the end user, improving performance. What steps did TAG take to do this? And maybe you can talk about like the internal transformation that TAG went through,
Yeah.
including building the DevOps team,
Yeah.
which you were integrated part of.
It's not bad, but yeah. I know the DevOps guys are listening, so I can't very much. Anyway,
If you can talk closer
so
to the microphone, there are some people saying your volume is a bit low.
just a minute, please. Let me improve it a bit. Yeah, that's it. That's better.
Yeah, much better.
Okay.
Thank you.
So for the guys that knows TAG, they know that we developed the MCS. So the MCS is more data driven. It's more it's based on containers. It's Docker Compose. So it's different deployment. It's different needs. It's interact with different different end location for the data for observability. So this is kind of open TAG to a new world, and there was lots of discussions of who are the guys, the video engineers that will support it, what skills they need, who are the customers that were going to use it. That was back in time, I think 4 years ago, and since then it's developed more and more. I think that that was one drive that opened TAG to the new CI/CD world, that everything needs to be more automated, more secured, more consistent. And then I think it was 2 years ago, and I think it's also in conjunction in time in one of the interops that we've been in AWS interops in London, I think, or I'm not sure where was it, that we did spoke about the DevOps part and how the DevOps part in the media and entertainment world starting to grow, and what are the needs, and how TAG DevOps will develop, and what kind of communication they will have with big players in the market. So we started to focus on that part, and we created a small, efficient department that also have skills in video, but develop the skills that in infrastructure as a code, in IT, and by communicating with AWS team participating in the interops, the knowledge started to come into TAG. We had a direct communication with solution architects such as Noor and other team members in the M&E section to advise, to ask them how to do things properly. Just to have small inputs here and there. Not everything we took, but a lot of things opened our mind. They gave us good direction to develop stuff and work more efficiently. So this department, this DevOps department that we have improved lots of processes, including some automation in QA. So even before we release a version, we know on any problems that might have happened during the development process, if something break, if we created some vulnerability, so it's already blocked, and then we can improve it.
Golan, let's get back to the DevOps and what they do today in a second. You raised a very interesting subject, which is the interops. And we really want to thank AWS for those great interops. I think we've done several of them in the last few years. Like there was an NDI interop, there was the recent one was about Kubernetes, I believe, or DevOps. Yeah, and Noor, can you talk about those? I think every other vendor in the industry should participate in those.
Yeah, absolutely. The idea of the interops stemmed from wanting to accelerate as a community, as an industry, wanting to accelerate live cloud production. And often we hear from customers that they would like to have kind of best of breed solutions, be able to integrate, different components from different vendors, and be able to kind of change that in time to test different things. As you know, in our industry, that's not easy or straightforward. And so what we wanted to do is provide a safe space for our partners to experiment and interoperate and essentially work on areas like resiliency, like scalability, observability. Some of these are kind of part of DevOps in ways. To do that in a way that allows them to really test and push the applications together, kind of in a way that is away from customers. So it's not a proof of concept. It's not a testing environment. It's more like how do you interoperate on one, but also test your own application and really, really push it. And let's say the reasons or the desired outcomes of such exercises is to help our partners get exposed to workflows and test cases that are, let's say, harder to test on your own. And then also bringing the community together. At the end of the day, going back to what Golan was saying in the beginning, tapping into the whole concept of partnerships and the pillars he mentioned, right? Essentially, we are working together as a community to enable our customers. And so these workshops bring in our partners, whether they are independent software vendors or ISVs like TAG, bringing together SIs because they need to be in the room. And I remember Golan giving me that feedback very directly back in the London workshop. And then obviously having our SMEs, subject matter experts from AWS, and even including some of our product teams, right? And for each workshop, we choose a different theme. Each theme is hard, right? Again, that's really the purpose. But we want to do that before, let's say, our partners have to showcase their solutions to customers. It kind of minimizes that, like the cycles of testing and development ahead of time, and puts our partners in stronger position when they do have to work with a customer. The thing to kind of mention is that, yes, we are talking about DevOps and we're talking about best practices. We refer, a lot in AWS to the well-architected framework, but it's also really key to mention that the themes of these workshops are actually in a way working backwards from customers. They are based on signals that we hear from customers, right? And so, for example, we would be hearing things like, we're having a hard time starting all the applications. It takes a long time to set them up and put the infrastructure together and get to the configuration aspect, etc. And so for us, that translates into, infrastructure as code. And so how do we enable partners to do it? Or, you know what, like we want to do more in the cloud. We want to have interop where we have multiple vendors, systems integrated together, but observability is really hard. And so, that kind of again trickles back for us to say observability at multiple layers. And this is where obviously like tag is at the core of it, obviously.
Yeah.
But they still want to have operational familiarity. And I really want to tap into that and kind of, as we evolve solutions in the cloud from a software and DevOps aspect, our partners, TAG included, are always keeping operators in mind, right? You don't want to potentially entirely change the experience for them, and just making sure that as we continue to evolve, we are kind of cognizant, let's say, of the operational experience that our customers are expecting.
So interoperability. Oh my God. Interoperability is definitely key, and it's a big pain that we all feel all the time, especially again being kind of the monitoring solution that we have to not only support every single protocol and format, but also understand when things are going wrong and handle those things appropriately. Um, you know, if there is one thing I would ask our customers is never assume that something that is standard, it will work. There are so many different standards in our industry, too many, if you ask me, or many other people think there's too many standards and too many organizations that come up with new standards every day. So make sure you test your things in advance before jumping into production. Make sure you have the lab set up and
Actually,
you
it's a good
participate
point
in.
what you just raised in Michael, the standardization. It's very good. It's very strong point. And I'll tell you why. First of all, from our perspective as a monitoring point, that you need to support all those standards. It's very difficult. And we developed our license manager for our own use to support CapEx, OpEx, and have more flexibility and dynamic of how you use the licenses. And one of the interops, I think it was in LA, the recent interop, this was one of the main subjects that been raised there. And as working as TAG as a siloed, we develop our own stuff. We know how it's working, but you not necessarily know how the industry work in this respect, and what are their challenges. What are their challenges? And in the recent LCP interop, if you remember, no, you did focus on that subject, and I was amazed to learn about other vendors' challenges that I was not aware that there are challenges and how they are addressed them. Can you speak more about what you drive in at the moment and lead in to create a standard solution in this space?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. In LA, we had a dedicated session just to talk about licensing, because if we think about the various, let's say, challenges to adopting, I would say it's not just about cloud. I would say, software-based systems, hybrid systems, and then obviously cloud being one example of that, is licensing. So we did discuss that, and we gathered a lot of the voices in the room, which was customer, was with Prime Video at the time, and then obviously the voices of our vendors and SIs. And so from there on, we identified that this is something that we should address as a community. And I keep going back to that. I don't believe this is one or a topic that would be completely addressed by any particular entity. And so we launched a new initiative where we are working together again with the community. We're in early stages, but we've publicly talked about it at the NAB New York week to say, hey, we want to come together as a community and put together a framework of best practices. So I wouldn't call them, it's not a specification, it's not a standard. I just want to kind of, make sure we clarify that part. It's a set of recommendations and best practices to enable licensing for our vendors, and it is based on the input of all these different areas. And so TAG, I'm really happy that TAG said yes to being part of it. And so, because again, there's so much to learn from everyone's experiences, and we're hoping that we have some solid outcomes by NAB and then another kind of solid milestone by IBC.
Yeah, and the more you guys mentioned licensing, so the more flexible the licensing is, it also makes this transition very easy for customers. They can they use licenses that they used to, whether it's on-prem or when they move to the cloud, it's the same license. And our very unique business model that our customers are familiar with allows them this flexibility. It's also sort of a combination between different options of purchasing perpetual licenses
Exactly.
or doing subscriptions for longer term to get all the new functionality and all the features that TAG delivers. There are some great questions, so I don't want to necessarily wait for the last moment for the Q&A, but let's maybe address one subject. There's several questions on this subject, and that is the one of the concern in many of the cloud deployments. I'm just trying to rephrase the question from JJ. It's about cost. So cost optimization and doing it intelligently. And I want to start with you, Golan. You have done a lot of cost optimization work in the recent months. Can you share some of your experience on that?
If we go back to the first example where we hosted one of our customers, we did understand that the costs are really crucial to make make everything succeed and meet the finance part. Yeah, when we spoke about it started with when you provide a solution for video, and it touches the video layer, and then there is the aspect of IT and the aspect of the DevOps, but it also comes now. It's more and more FinOps, how you measure the flows, what kind of instances you deploy. Is it over provision? What will be the traffic cost if you go over the internet, inter-region, use direct connect? So there is multiple parts that build this magic of video to go from one end to another. But underneath there is lots of dollars that make it working appropriate. One of the great things that and this is a really direct compliment to AWS, the one thing that I learned from them working with our account manager here that managing TAG account directly, is that they are working with you to minimize your cost. And minimize your cost is sometimes it's touching the infrastructure, so you do it more accurate to your needs. And there is a lot of work to do to understand what are the components that build the entire ecosystem, and how you can minimize those costs. And there is so many ways to do it. if it's committing for a long-term plan, if it's to use spot instances for lab usage environment. There is so many ways that you can tackle this aspect, but working more and more with anomaly detection, more with budget per project, use their observability tools, alerting mechanism. So you can focus more and more on the cost, tiering the S3 bucket. So I think FinOps, when you speak about this part, FinOps, if you can call it like that, is you need someone that understand not just manage numbers, but also understand the technology and maybe know how to improve it and optimize it in a way that you can cut costs. And something small that we just recently did is just change the EBS volume to GP2, from GP2 to GP3, minimize the cost dramatically. And this is something that I didn't know myself. I just got the advice from the AWS team. They don't have any, they can earn more, but they still advise you how to save money. So I think using those tools, using those skills or expertise with AWS, you can still minimize your costs.
So you're absolutely right. We have this kind of North Star in TAG, which is the return on investment, ROI, for our customers. We want to improve that. Noor, how does that look like from AWS side? What tools do you have, or how do you help customers working together with vendors to get more value from their investment?
Yep. So a lot of it is what Golan had already mentioned. I can maybe add a couple of points whereby one thing that generally helps is the fact that our pricing is public. And there's the AWS pricing calculator, which allows kind of early, let's say, estimation builds of services to give an idea and breakdown and how each AWS service is priced. And that is a really kind of a really good way to get into understanding the pricing structure. The other thing is the economies of scale, right? Over the years, across different services, AWS reduced the prices of various services. And we are continuously coming up with, let's say, more efficient services such as compute, to Golan's point as well, that allow you to do more at a lower cost. So they evolved, let's say how our EC2 instances evolved in the compute side of things, as well as the GPU-backed instances as another example. So kind of continuously coming up with or releasing services and features that would provide more cost efficient or even efficient processing for customers is one area. Economies of scale is another. And then obviously everything that Golan talked about, which goes back to the ability to use, again, DevOps good practices and the ability to say, you know what, maybe we don't need to have this compute cluster spun up and just continuously running 24/7. So you can have guardrails. And one of the simplest thing that, customers and partners can do is leverage tagging of resources. Not to be,
Tagging the tag, yes.
I think tagging from both ends, tag
Right.
for observability, but also
Using
tagging
more tag,
resources.
yes.
Yes, absolutely. But tagging resources, right? So identifying that, let's say, as a simple example, this EC2 instance belongs to team X and another EC2 instance belongs to team Y. It could be DevOps and testing accounts, for example. It could be based on workflows, and so you can have multiple tags. But what that allows you to do is build a pipeline that would say, after X amount of time, you would send an API call to maybe spin down these resources, and that saves money because it is so easy to kind of turn on, let's say, a compute and just kind of leave it there. And as your organization grows and you have more people joining, and so how do you manage that from the get-go by having best practices around guardrailing and tagging and taking action from, let's say, an event-driven architecture standpoint becomes really important.
Great. So I put the subject of DevOps on hold. I know that's very favorite subject on Golan, but Noor, you guys have a lot of programs for vendors like us to help build DevOps capabilities and build new products using the DevOps approach. Can you share some of that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a, let's say, a member of the AWS Partner Network or the APN, our partners, as you know, have access to, let's say, numerous resources for training and enablement. And I think that's a really key part, whether it's partners or customers, to really tap into enablement. And tying that to cost, when we talk about enablement, oftentimes people think about that from just the technology standpoint, but it's also from the business side. And so the cloud economics being a very good example of, I believe the course is still called Cloud Economics, but tapping into that as a partner is absolutely there. Obviously, tapping into the SMEs and the various organizations within AWS, allowing you to kind of, have or be exposed to workshops, whether they are pre-built and Golan, I don't know if you remember, but like leading up to the latest interop, we actually hosted like 3 virtual hands-on workshops just to enable the partners to move really quickly. And then there is other programs whereby our partners can have early access to new features, right? So that you can test and even provide feedback for our product managers so that we can improve on the new feature sets from the lens of our partners. Obviously, not to mention programs relative to like credits and supporting our partners, let's say financially, to be able to do these things and do meaningful testing and exploration, but obviously taking their cost into account as well.
Golan, your favorite subject, DevOps.
What do you mean? What do you ask?
I asked, tell us the story of DevOps at TAG and
I think
how we used Amazon Help to build it.
um, um, okay, so I'll cut it. I'll do it short because we really
Yeah, we want to get to the questions. We want to leave some time for the questions.
One of the question is more for you, actually. So we can skip the DevOps part and maybe jump into the MXL part.
MXL, okay, yeah, you can't have a webinar those days without mentioning MXL. It's
So the question is more for you, or you know, maybe you can answer that. And for you, Michael, how does TAG and AWS see the feature that are being introduced by DMF, MXL in the context of media exchange in the cloud? So do you want to answer that?
Noor, you want to answer this first? I can talk about the tech part later.
So what I can say in general that we've worked with multiple partners to kind of specifically for the MXL part to enable testing in the cloud, right? And so we're supportive of, let's say, an initiative that brings together the vendors and is for the benefit of the customer. We've been engaged by, again, like in enabling our partners to interoperate. And so at IBC, we had a demo that was, we started with just video. So kind of the first round, we're in early stages, started with just video and being able to show the kind of, let's say, transport, send and receive across different vendors, and then some observability on top, or multi-viewers to be more specific in this context. And so we're really, happy to see that vendors are coming together to make this a reality. And so we're we're working with any vendor who is working on MXL. So if you want to do any testing in the cloud, please do let us know if you haven't worked together already.
Yeah, and from tech perspective, we definitely have it very high on the roadmap. We want it to be driven by the customer demand, of course, as a monitoring solution, but also as a multi-viewing product. We have to support multi-host deployments of MXL, which should be in the upcoming release by end of this year. So as soon as it's available in the library, in the official library, I think they're targeting release 1.0 by end of December. We will definitely add it to the product and make sure we are interoperable with other vendors as well. So yes, that's very very important subject to us to support. And it's funny, I actually have my Scratch notepad here on the table where I put all the notes and write it down. That's from EBU that I got from the meeting back in Geneva earlier this year about the MXL subject. So
And another one for you, Michael.
me.
You wanted to be moderator, but no, not
Sure,
anymore.
no, that's
This is
great.
your time. How far are we from fully containerized both TAG, MCS, and MC?
MCS is completely containerized. It has been containerized from day one. Uh, we went through a very long journey with the help from Noor and her partners as well to support things like EKS and other Kubernetes-driven automation tools. MCM is a different type of challenge, but we are in the final stages of turning MCM into completely containerized. We can start doing some controlled customer POCs really soon. So it's definitely has been a very important subject on our roadmap for 2025, and we're getting there.
Can you
Um,
guys imagine that we pass, I think, almost 50 minutes without mentioning the word AI?
I held myself really hard. Come on.
I
Not
was
even one
wondering when
time.
it's going to
Is
pop
it
up.
How can it
uh,
be?
the JJ saying my AI camera is making him sick? I don't know what he's talking about. Is which AI camera?
Guys, 50 minutes without mentioning AI, it's achievement, I think, in those days, no?
In our days, yes.
Yes. Well, do we want to talk about AI? We still have, let's look at the questions. What other questions there are? So there is a question from Ian. The stack entertain trial periods for testing cloud workflows. Public media, his industry has tight resources, so needs to vet and test options before taking a leap to a new workflow. Golan?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
The stack entertain trial periods for testing cloud workflows.
Does TAG, again, I'm
Do we
sorry.
do we provide a trial period for customers to use it in the cloud?
Yes, sure. We sure do. And more than that, I was just introduced in one of my colleague in AWS. There is actually a program for SMB, which AWS provide $300 credit to your account, so you can have both AWS $300, and if you are SMB, of course, and you can use TAG trial licenses for 3 months, 90 days, if I'm not mistaken. So you can have both without paying nothing and just have the look and feel on those two together.
Let's see what other questions we
There's a
have.
really good question on MCP server
Yeah.
from Marco. Oh,
Have
it's
you started thinking about integrating MCP server for TAG? The short answer, yes, we have. We have very advanced API. We manage different versions of API, but we definitely need to enrich it with MCP server to do more and integrate with AI agents. So yes, MCP is part of the roadmap for TAG on MCS and MCM both products.
An interesting one.
Yeah. Okay. What other questions are there? We answered the containers one. Well, let me ask you something. So we talked about the history, how we got to where we are, and Golan said, "Hey, we need to talk about AI." So AI is kind of in the future for all of us. So if you look at TAG and AWS, and specifically in light of our partnership together, where do you see it's going in the next 12 to 36 months? Golan?
The question was, I think, for Noor, from my perspective, in terms of partnership with AWS, I think that ideally we would like to work more closely and learn their tools. We recently initiated another department that's focusing in AI. So leveraging AWS capabilities in this space will help us a lot. So I think working more and more with Noor in this space on this technology will help us a lot. Noor, how do you see it?
Agreed. Agreed. And the way to go around it, which, Golan, you and I started some early conversations in terms of identifying meaningful use cases for AI and also generative AI, where it generally falls into a couple of buckets. There's the bucket of enabling application features, right? Relative to broadcast or media in general, with the help of AI and generative AI. But then the other bucket is productivity. And I feel even productivity can branch into a couple of areas where one of them would be internal. So internal to let's say the TAG team. So how are you moving faster using AI or agentic AI for coding purposes, for example, or transforming code is an example of productivity, but also for end users and customers. And a very simple use case, Golan, you and I talked about is enabling users to tap into all of your documentations to understand deployment, take action, and actually deploy. Be able to quickly access maybe logs of existing troubleshooting tips and all of that, right? And so I know we didn't talk about AI and we left it towards the end, but it is an important tool and kind of helper assistant in I think our next stage of partnership. I look forward to it.
I was participating in one of your recent AI workshop that you divided this workshop across different cities. It was one, I don't know, it was one in
Yeah,
London, one in Italy, one in Germany. I don't remember the cities exactly. But the guy that I was working with, I'm clueless. Back then I was clueless, and more today I know a bit more about AI, and I saw how they use AI in AWS in ways that I couldn't even understand how they reached to the point that it's capable to do those kind of things. I personally built some very basic semantic search over S3 bucket, and I could understand how our customers can use it and leverage these capabilities. Many of our customers store the video in S3 bucket, and sometimes, many times, they need to do some search for their operation, and this makes the operation much more efficient than it used to. So I can only just imagine how far we can go with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Who said we haven't? Maybe those are our AI generated copies, and we actually somewhere on the beach enjoying the life.
I wish.
My avatar would definitely be a coffee lover as well. So yeah,
Oh,
maybe.
absolutely. I don't see any more questions. Does anybody have any more questions here? If not, and JJ, I promise to get back to you about MXL and everything else. So thanks for your great questions. All right, I think that's time we'll wrap up and thank all the participants. Thank you very much. Thank you, Noor. Thank you, Golan.
Thank you,
Thanks for
everybody,
having
for
me.
joining.
And
Thank you.
supporting us here.